The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, the bacon is sizzling. Welcome to the Daily Swole.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 97 of the Daily Mother Swole. Yes, that's right, the Daily Swole, where not wearing pants is just called Thursday. On this fantastic, wonderful, amazing, fantastic, fantabulous, wonderful, exquisite, rare occasion of an episode, I am going to talk to you about high and low reps, which we've discussed before, but high or low reps for legs. This came up a little bit yesterday, came up a little bit last night in my late night scope. This came up in Gains After Dark. Should you use high reps or low reps for legs? I personally love both, but what I want to talk about are the principles for leg training, why you should do either, and how you can do a high rep leg workout, because high reps for legs are absolutely fantastic. The bottom line with whether you're going high rep or low rep, and I will always say this, is going to failure. Most people, when they go high rep, they don't go high enough rep. Most people, when they do low rep, they don't go hard enough and they don't go enough to failure. They don't have a proper spot. They don't have proper form. Most people do not do failure properly. Most people do not know how to train to failure. Most people, I'm just saying most people do not know how to shut their brain off from protecting itself and go until you can't do another rep. Safely, of course, but to actual failure. And that is why failure gets a strange reputation. Like, well, I push hard, or I go to failure, I can't do another rep. Thinking you can't do another rep and absolutely not being able to do another rep are completely different things. And that's the difference between getting a lot of results or maybe getting some kind of results and plateauing early. So that being said, failure is super important. I've said it before. You know that now. Failure going until you're absolutely tapped out. Mixing it up, high and low rep. You can do high and low rep. High rep will generally give you more muscular endurance. Low rep will generally give you more strength. Either one that you choose, regular training with either will give you more adaptations in that direction. If you go generally heavier weights for strength, 4, 6, 8 repetitions, generally maybe 3 to 5, 1 to 5, 2 to 6 repetitions, you will be getting more strength. You'll be recruiting more motor units. You'll be getting more neurons to fire the muscle tissue. You'll get the synchronization of all those muscle fibers firing at the same time, and you'll get more strength output. However, if you train like that all the time, if you train towards your max, if you train extremely heavy all the time, you are going to burn out. You're going to overtrain. You can hurt yourself. Yeah, you should switch between them. How often? It depends. I would definitely rotate, at least if you're going to be doing one for a regular basis. I would be rotating between heavy and light reps. If you're going to do one consistently, change it up every probably 4 to 6 weeks. You don't want to go too long doing heavy strength. You don't want to go too long doing lighter weight. Remember, lighter weight gets heavy, lighter weight for higher repetitions. You don't want to go too long because you're going to get too much either direction in that adaptation, and you're going to overtrain possibly or undertrain if you're going too light. I wouldn't say undertrain too light to failure, but you won't get that same overload stimulus that will increase your muscle size to enough. So you can do a combination. You could also do moderate weeks followed by heavier weeks, followed by lighter weeks. You can alternate more frequently. That is going to be something that you're going to have to try for yourself and see how quickly you can rotate. But generally, if you're looking for muscle size, you can switch a little bit more frequently than if you're looking for just strength or if you're looking for just muscle endurance. You could be a little bit more free-flowing, combining them during workouts like supersets, doing high reps at the beginning, low reps to burnout. Hypertrophy is an interesting beast where you could be a little bit more manipulative because hypertrophy is that fine line, that gray area between strength and muscle endurance. So hypertrophy is that kind of blend between the two, and you have a little more leeway when you're trying to go for purely muscle size, not just strength and muscle endurance. So some of my best workouts have been high rep. Some of my best workouts have been squat sets of 20. but to failure. 225 pound squats to failure. Doing lunges until I couldn't do another lunge, like literally doing squats or lunges for 30 minutes, for 40 minutes, for an hour until I couldn't move my legs. Some of those I've gotten crippled sore. I wouldn't necessarily do those every time because some of those workouts can be extremely traumatic. What I mean by traumatic is they can be extremely damaging to the muscle. You don't want to get into a big car accident every week. Car accidents are not good anyway, but you can overwork to the point where your body will feel like it's been in a major accident every week, and that's not good. That's going to lead to overtraining. You need to have deloading weeks. I always talk about failure, but you need to have training sessions where you're not going quite as intense, you're not going quite as hard. So you have to back off it sometimes so you're not overloading the body and overloading the brain way too much. Lighter weight allows me to challenge myself more to failure. That's a mental thing. Because if you go heavy weight and lower reps and you push as hard as you can, you don't have that time frame. You don't have that ability to go super high. It's much harder, in my opinion, to do a set for 20 or 25 reps to squats, but heavy enough where that's going to be your failure point and keeping on going. You have to go through that burn until it's numb, and then you get that second burn, and then you get to failure. You have to go through those layers of fatigue. And higher reps is definitely a mental strain because the sets are longer. They're just straight up longer sets. So there's different ways to get there. There's different ways to do high reps, and I'm talking mostly about high reps because low reps are simple. You're doing heavy weight, low repetitions. Yeah, okay, we know what heavy weight looks like. But higher reps can be a couple different shades of the same gray. You can do one single set high. You can do just a set of 20, for example, to failure. You can do heavy supersets where you're doing a heavy set, followed by another heavy set, followed by another heavy set. Of course, each subsequent heavy set will be lighter than if you rested 5 minutes and then did that same exercise with as much as you can do. So if you did like a set of heavy squats for 8 reps and you went right into some heavy lunges with as heavy as you could go after that kind of a set for 8 reps, and then maybe another set after that with as heavy as you would be able to go for another 8 reps with no rest in between, that would be 24 repetitions. And of course, if you waited, let's say at the end you did single leg squats heavy, if you did single leg squats only, you'd be able to go heavier than if you did them last in the superset, but you're kind of getting each individual exercise overloaded in a fatigue state. So on a macro level, you're getting a higher rep set because your ATP is depleted. So your body is getting different stimuli in the same actual set. You're getting different stimuli with the high rep set in one location. Next, you could do compound with isolation. Do I even lift, bro? What you think, son? I had to address that. That was way too confrontational for me to ignore. Do some muscle groups lend themselves to high reps versus lower reps? Yeah, some muscle groups will be a little more prone to, having more type 1 fiber action. But and that would be like forearms, calves, abdominals. Those might need more frequent training, but larger muscle groups should be hit heavier and should be hit for more explosive training, should be hit for more heavier weight and more overload and less frequently. You shouldn't be doing chest every other day, but you could easily do abs, calves, or forearms every other day, for example, because those muscles and shoulders, because they get more exposure to repetitious action. And that's going to depend. Some people love higher reps with certain body parts. Some people will see great results and great stimulation with legs with heavy weight. Some will be like, man, I love high reps for legs. It blows my legs up. That's going to be based on the individual. So you have to play around with it, but you really have to give it a go. And if you've never done high reps for legs, I could not recommend it enough. High reps for legs, it takes balls to go high reps to failure with legs. It is nauseating. It's disgusting. I had some clients of mine doing, we did a strip set on the leg press, and I'll explain. We did, I had him doing like 4 or 5 plates on the side. This is at the end of the workout, so he's already spent. I had him do like 10 reps with 5 plates on each side, and I stripped a plate off, and I had him do 15 reps with 4 plates, and then I had him do 20 reps with 3 plates, and then 25 reps with 2 plates, and then 30 or 35 reps with 1 plate, and just back to back. So that's like right there, 60, 70, 80 reps, and just complete like just burnout. And he was just fried. Could barely get the last rep up, but just completely blasted. And that's just a burnout set. I mean, you're frying the muscle, you're fatiguing the muscle. Go home, eat, rest, stretch, and get bigger and come back next time ready to pound. So, yeah, some muscles are going to have a lot more response, but don't forget, you need to lift heavier weights for moderate repetitions to grow muscle size. But the legs, the wheels, also get a lot of stress. They get a lot of exposure to activity. That's why legs are so sensitive. That's why legs and people in the brain and the body wants to protect legs, because you have to walk. Your body knows you have locomotion. If it wants motor skills, your body is going to protect the legs. Your body doesn't want your legs to be destroyed, because guess what? Your body knows I can't fucking walk if I don't have my legs. So your body has a little bit more of a sensitive spot for not pushing the legs just to absolutely the body will protect. Stimulate, don't annihilate. Dude, I don't. Okay. Someone else says stimulate, don't annihilate. Yeah, I think you stimulate when you go to failure. I'm not saying annihilate. What does that mean? What does that mean? That's a very subjective term. You got to train your fucking ass off, and that'll stimulate it. I promise you. Trust me, because I know I do that. I don't know what that means, annihilate. You don't have to be traumatized in the hospital, but you got to fucking overload your muscles. You got to overload your muscles. And most people don't do yoga or stretching or recovery, and yeah, you're going to definitely break down your muscle and overtrain if you're not doing active recovery techniques. And most people just, maybe overtrain or undertrain and then just fucking sit on it. So that's a nice phrase, stimulate, don't annihilate. That's a nice thing that rhymes, but failure is what's going to get you big, and stimulation is failure. When you train your muscles to failure, you're stimulating the fuck out of them. So, but that's why I just said annihilate. You need to give your body periods of recovery, so you can't be doing ridiculous hardcore. That's why CrossFit gets people injured, because it's always for time, it's always rushed, it's always extreme. Stimulation and failure doesn't necessarily mean like you can't move or, oh my God, you're blasted and you're crippled at the end of every workout though. So failure, like I just said, you have to go to the point where, but that doesn't mean how many sets. If you go to failure, it doesn't mean you're doing 40 sets to failure. That's my point. Some people just keep on going in the gym. Some people do 2-hour workouts. Some people do way too much volume when they go intense to failure. Dorian Yates famously didn't do tons of volume, but he did like 1 or 2 working sets to absolute ridiculous failure. But that was, he limited those failure sets to ones where he went as heavy as he could and as hard as he could. Having a hard time with working out your legs, what do I suggest? I suggest listening to the rest of this podcast and then rewatching it, because that's the only thing I'm talking about right now. You could also do compound with isolation or isometric moves. That means if you're doing a squat, for example, compound movement, multi-joint. If you're doing a lunge where you're using multi-joint, ankle, knee, hip. If you're doing a deadlift, which is, for legs, glutes, also for upper body, of course, hip hinge, upper body core stabilization, knees, and ankle. You could superset that with an isolated exercise where you're doing, a squat superset with leg extensions, where you're doing a squat superset with single leg squat. Hey, Mary. If you're doing squats with, just lunges like isolated or single leg curls or stiff leg, single leg, stiff leg deadlifts. So when you are doing, and you can do this reverse too. You could do a compound with an isolated. You could also superset an isolated with a compound. You could do single leg squats, which is kind of a compound, but it's a single leg. You could do a leg extension, a single leg or double leg extension, superset with full body squats. So you can go backwards too. You can do isolated muscle, and then you can overload with a compound exercise and blast it that way. So the supersets with the compound or the isolated and vice versa, flipping the compound and the iso can really help. And you could also do isometric, which is like a wall sit. If everyone's done a wall sit where you sit against the wall, knees and hips at 90 degrees and you just hold. That's famous with hockey players. That's famous with people that do a lot of lower body endurance, skaters and stuff like that, where you actually hold in position for 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, etc. You can do actually a set, let's say for squats, and go right into a wall sit for a minute or two. You can also do a heavy set for squats and then do plyometric and then do squat jumps and do any kind of, or lunge jumps. So you can do that kind of plyo after a strength set, and that will definitely stimulate the body. That will definitely increase your body's power output, your strength, endurance. So there's different weights. You don't necessarily have to do one weight after one weight. You could do isolated. You can do isometric. You can do negatives as well. You can burn out with some negatives. You can burn out with some pulses, some limited range of motion activity where you're deep in the hole and you're doing pulse reps, low squat. Maybe not as heavy as you would for a max rep, of course, but you can break up that limited range of motion in a set or at the end of a set to burn out, where you're increasing the time under tension for the muscle. And that's essentially what you're doing when you're doing any kind of superset. You're increasing the time that the muscle's under tension in a given period of work. Okay? So this type of activity, do I ever broadcast when I work out? Yeah, every day. Every time I work out, I broadcast. So you can look at my scopes and see all the ones I broadcast. Also on YouTube in my exercise video list, youtube.com/Swolenormous, you'll see my exercise videos, which is live cast from Periscope, and they're edited with music for copyright issues with songs in the gym. So you can look at them there too. But yeah, I broadcast. Every time I work out, it's broadcast. And the last one is extreme high rep. Now I talk about high rep, and then there's extreme high rep, where you're doing sets like 50, 60, 70. You're burning out. You're doing, like, let's say, body weight squats. You're just burning out 70 pulse reps. Or you're doing as many reps you can do in 5 minutes of squats, and you're not counting. What I like about timed things in this scenario is not that you're racing to beat a certain time. You're just working as much as you can in a certain time period to maximize your fatigue and your burnout. What's up, Mike? How you doing, man? Busker's getting intense. Welcome to everyone, just so you know, on Periscope Busker and on the YouTubes and the podcast, SoundCloud, iTunes, all that good stuff. High reps, but extreme high reps. So I said maybe at the end of a workout, I'll do squat pulses with 135. That's low, deep in the hole, just like a couple inch pulse. I'll go just pulse reps, like 100 reps. I'll do like 100 reps. I might not get 101 shot. I might get 10, 15, 20, 30, and then have to rest for a second. And I'm down a low squat. I'm at the bottom of the rack. I put the support right below the bar, and I rest, and I'll do another pulse set of 10. And I'll just go until I get 100, and that'll be the end of my workout. I'll be fucked. And I love that kind of fail. I love that kind of burn out. I love ending the workout. I love tapping the muscle and doing random stuff. I do weird shit in the gym. I do weird shit. My common theme and what has worked for me is going to failure. Like I said, appropriately, effectively, and I don't overload. I rest. I take days off frequently. Yo, guys, I take days off frequently. Not to mention, I don't work everything every day. Another reason why CrossFit is dangerous, because they're doing compound, total body, global movements every day, hard for time, things that shouldn't be rushed, things that shouldn't be done for high rep, things that are very form intensive with people that shouldn't be doing those exercises, that are having compensations. You need, when you segment body parts, when you do chest and triceps and you do legs and you start splitting stuff up and you warm up properly, you do yoga and you're resting properly and you're drinking properly and you're eating properly, you can push yourself a little bit more. Because today, let's say I'm really sore. Let's say I was crushed. I'm like, man, I don't feel good. My arms, I just feel achy. I'm not working out. I'll do some yoga, do some stretching, I'll do some foam rolling, and then I just don't work out. Simple. I take days off. You know why? Because the sun's going to rise tomorrow and I can crush it tomorrow. If you don't rest, if you don't give yourself rest, if you don't rest when your body says it needs rest, and you refuse and you ignore and you go because it's time to work out, you go because, I have a class at 6, I got to go work out. You work out because your friend's saying, well, let's go to the gym. Come on, don't be a pussy, go work out. And you just think that if you're not in the gym, if you're out of the gym, you're losing. If you're only gaining when you're in the gym, you're actually losing when you're in the gym. When you go to the gym, you lose. And what I mean by that is you're breaking shit down. You're damaging your body, causing trauma. You're growing when you're not in the gym. You're growing when you're at home. You're growing when you're taking a shit. You're growing when you're eating. You're growing when you're showering. You're growing when you're taking a nap. You're growing when you're drinking your bulletproof coffee like a freaking boss. You're growing while you're growing you're growing your muscles while you're growing your beard, if you're so fortunate. You're growing when you're doing everything but in the gym, because recovery is what builds muscle. Now, when you stimulate these muscles, larger muscle groups like the quads, like the glutes, like the pecs, like the lats, bigger muscle groups in the body, when you fatigue them enough, you're stimulating more hormonal production. You'll stimulate more testosterone production. Females alike, but not as much as men. Obviously, nowhere near as much as men. But you will be stimulating growth hormone release when you're resting and things of that nature to repair the body that's been damaged. Okay, you have to create that stimulus, you have to create that damage, you have to create that micro trauma, not macro. You're not tearing an ACL, that micro trauma in the muscle fibers that's going to stimulate the need for your body to repair, rebuild, regrow, stronger, better than it was before. And that's how you get bigger, and you have to fuck your legs up. You have to. I'm not saying go cripple yourself, but I have been sore for days on end. I've been sore for 7 days to the touch. I'm not saying it's wise. I'm not saying I would do that every time. Most of the time I go to failure, but I limit the volume because I don't want to cripple myself. I don't want to not be able to walk, because that whole, if you're saying stimulate, don't annihilate, that I agree with in the sense that it's volume. If you're crushing yourself to failure, you don't need to do 20 sets to failure. If you're going to go sub-max and not push yourself to absolute failure, I don't find that as effective as it is to go to failure and just do less sets. Do 9 sets of just crush it. Do 12 sets of crush it. You don't need to do 20 and 25. I wonder why they don't show off their legs, though. That's a good question. I'll show my legs off, just not right now because I'm not wearing pants. But you can see my legs, and I have pictures of me with my legs or wearing my tights. I have legs. Do I have the biggest legs in the world? No, no one does. But I have development, and you can see my videos. I don't hide my leg workouts. I want you to see them. And my knee is finally feeling better. I'm feeling great. So my last workout, my squat workout, will be posted probably later today that I did the other day. And you'll see my workouts. And as they get more intense, as I start feeling better and better, you'll see some of the stuff, this crazy shit that I do. Oh, thank you, Andres. Yeah, I train my legs hard. And I do RDLs with, give me 1 million fucking hearts, by the way, on Periscope. Yeah, blow that shit up. Don't stop. I will scope while I sleep in order to get those hearts. So, yeah. And you should join me for my Gains After Dark scopes. So that's going to be good, too. But yeah, you got to train your legs crazy. You got to train them hard. Most people don't train your legs. They don't train their legs hard enough. They don't. The problem with legs is that most people are sitting down too much in a car at a desk, so their legs are atrophied anyway. They have movement compensations. Their joints are compromised, and they try to go do squats and stuff, and their knees and their ankles aren't moving properly, so they either get hurt or they're stiff, and they don't get enough range to stimulate the muscles properly. You know, legs are... If you do yoga, you'll see better leg growth. Absolutely, because you're stretching and you're stimulating all the muscle fibers, you're lengthening the muscle fibers, you have better range of motion, you'll have better structure, you'll have better form. So, as always, for the billionth fucking time, start doing yoga. Start doing yoga. Hashtag start doing yoga. Hashtag do yoga. Hashtag be regular with your yoga. Hashtag don't watch my scopes anymore if you're not even remotely considering starting yoga. Hashtag yoga. You should do yoga. You should absolutely do yoga. Take a class, watch a YouTube video, just get started. I'm going to post one of my videos probably that I posted on Premium once for YouTube, so I can actually have something be like, look at this one. I've done scopes before, my private broadcast for yoga. You have to start because that's going to help your leg growth. What about the machine squat where the load is on 2 pads on top of your shoulders? The hack squat? Rarely have I found one that's good. I posted a video once where I used it. I hated it. Hurt my knee. I just use it to mix it up, but I generally don't like them. Free body is the best. Free weight squats, dumbbell squats. I'm not a big fan of dumbbell squats, to be honest. I don't feel like form is really easily obtained with dumbbell squats, but it's functional. It's like picking up 2 suitcases. If you have a hex bar, that's very useful if you have one. But barbell squats, you can do chalice squats right here. There's a bunch of different ways to do squats, but the most important thing is that your knees are going over your second toe. Like what I put in Premium, the form breakdown for how to do the squat. Your knees over the second toe, making sure that you're over the midfoot, that you're going down and the weight's traveling in a straight line. You know, there's some basic aspects for a squat, but super important that you're doing free weight that allows your body to move the way it's supposed to. Okay? I'll stay for a few minutes after on Periscope. Thank you. And Busker, if you have any questions, thank you for joining me on YouTube. Podcast, SoundCloud, iTunes, and Stitcher. Of course, stay tuned on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Swolenormous, where there's multiple videos new every day. Stay tuned for my latest squat video, which should be up ASAP. There's a brand new driving while gaining that was up today that is fucking hysterical. So check it out, number 80, DWG, my driving while gaining playlist. So check that out on my YouTube channel. Give it a like. I'd appreciate it mucho. And stay tuned tomorrow. I told Nutrition time for episode 98 of The Daily Mother. Swole. Hashtag no pants dance with the Flexosaurus. I'll say for a few minutes after, like I said. See you tomorrow. Peace out.
Another.